All right, my lovelies, the moon is in the final degree of Virgo, and it will ingress into the moon sign of Libra. So we will have the moon ingressing into Libra in about an hour and a half or so. We're coming into an interesting couple of days because the U.S. Pluto return actually happens on the 20th, not the 22nd. I know everybody keeps seeing these videos of the Pluto return on 2/22/2022, but anyway, if you want to know more about that, there's an audio recording of a seminar I gave about it earlier this month, and you can find all about the Pluto return and what it means for you through the link in my profile. I've got some charts I'll be sharing. I'll just wait for more people to join. If you tap on the screen and give it some love, more people will be able to see the video, and I can get started talking about this weekend's astrology. We can expect this to be an action-packed weekend. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on an individual level. It could be super creative, super interesting, but there may be some bumps along the way because the moon is going to be squaring off with Pluto, you guessed it, on the 20th. So you can ask my mods for link information, for reading information. You can ask my mods about the discount codes and for the readings, because I am doing a 20% off code on all readings. So let's get to the astrology, why don't we? So it's been kind of interesting over the last day, today on Friday, because the moon started out trine to Pluto. Most people look at trines as something easy, but what it is unrestricted energy. So we saw quite a bit going on today in the news, and a lot of people were reporting to me through text messages and Discord and on my TikToks that they'd had kind of a crunchy day. This is all leading up to releasing the energy from that full moon. So, yeah. Everything went wrong for you today? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of people had a hard time today because the moon was trine Pluto. And so that's just a lot of energy. It can just be really crunchy. So I'll share the screen in just a minute. I'll share the charts and I'll talk about the weekend. Here we are. Let's get those going. So I know when it's crunchy, it's just like, but just remember this too shall end. We're going to have a lot of pressure building because we have Mars and Venus conjunct in Pluto, and they are on the approach. Did I say it in Pluto? In Capricorn, approaching Pluto. Let's see if Lori can talk straight today. But we have Venus and Mars in Capricorn approaching Pluto, and that is building pressure, and there will be a huge amount of release the first week of March when those guys are like right on top of it. So yeah. What do I think about Canada? It's a fine country is what I think about Canada. No, I'm being sarcastic with that. You can't block roadways and not expect repercussions. There are all forms of protest. So I think we're just seeing Pluto and Capricorn play out globally. We're in the final degrees of Capricorn. It's going to get more and more intense over the next year and a half, 2 years. Things are going to get crunchy. People want to be able to do things without repercussions, and it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. But likewise, neither will the powers in charge listen to people if people don't take action. I'm not on any... I don't agree that mask mandates are a problem. I think that's a dumbass thing to get your knickers in a twist over. It's a piece of cloth. We wear shoes, I think if you're going to block a roadway, then you're going to have repercussions over time. I think people got very, very lucky. Those repercussions didn't show up sooner. So, we don't live in an anarchy, but likewise, we do need our officials to listen. So, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. 90% of the truckers are vaccinated. Well, there we go. it's I think there's bigger things afoot, and I think it's really important we all focus on what we can do as individuals. I think there's a lot of things happening in this world to distract us from our own individual agency. Okay, so the more events are put in the news, the more things to get people outraged or divided, the more things people are like, oh no, look at those people, look over there, look over there. The more you're not taking agency over your own life because you're busy looking at everybody else. And so, hey, how you doing? So that's part of it. Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you? So let's take a look at the charts. I'm going to pull up the charts. Let's get the reading glasses on to make it easier to see. So this is about 3 o'clock this morning. I did some cropping of that. That was maybe not so smart. So over tonight, it's not that big of a deal. We're not going to feel too many different things. On Margaret. Oh yeah, Margaret Cho. Yeah, that was so big. That was so cool. I love Margaret Cho. That she's following me, I'm so honored. Yeah, I love her work. She's beyond a trailblazer. You know, that she's a very brave person, I think, for going out there and doing. She may not have felt brave. I don't know. I haven't looked at her chart. I should look at her chart. But she's very cool. But yeah, I'm going to pull up the 20th chart, because the 20th is actually the Pluto return. So the Pluto return to the U.S. Declaration of Independence. Understand that. The Declaration of Independence is not, it was a declaration of intent, okay? It didn't form us. It just said, hey, dudes, we don't want to be part of you anymore. And so, it's at 2733 of Capricorn. All right. That happens on the 20th, not on the 22nd. I know you get all these pop astrologers popping up. How's the Pluto return going to impact you? Do. Let's be ominous. You know how it impacts you personally? Not at all. You weren't born in 1776, FYI, and Pluto wasn't discovered till 1930. Okay, I know the Tumblr astrology has infiltrated TikTok. It's not real astrology. Okay. As a real astrologer, I get really frustrated by this. It's very frustrating indeed. It doesn't really impact you. It spells the beginning of something, not an end. Okay, not an end. We didn't witness Pluto until 1930. It wasn't in our consciousness at all. None of the outer planets were. It was only up to Saturn at that point, because even Uranus wasn't discovered until 1787. Okay, the United States was a country at that point. Okay, so I did a seminar on the Pluto return and what it means for you and what it doesn't mean for you and how it's going to impact things. But Pluto itself, the Pluto in Capricorn transit, that impacts everybody globally now because it is in our consciousness. And we are looking at massive systemic change. Massive systemic change. And we're in process now. That's why we're seeing lots of protests from all kinds of different people, all kinds of different interests. We're looking at, if you look at the leadership in the world, they're working off of old playbooks. And it's not going to work very well. They're really, really being very, very ineffective. So things we need to look out for are actually things like climate change, COVID, other viruses, these things. The old balance of power politics are really shaky. So what's going to happen on the 20th of February? Because that's really what's up on deck. So if you notice, we've got the moon at 26 degrees, 25 minutes at the time I put. It's like 3 p.m. on the 20th. And it is squaring off with Pluto. Notice we have Venus and Mars conjunct. Mars is now moving into position to be conjunct. They're just both within conjunction of Pluto. Things are going to get more and more and more intense throughout the week. Okay. On a personal level, you want to look at where Capricorn is in your natal chart. And it's going to be impacting that area. It can be a power up. It doesn't have to be a negative experience. But with the moon in Libra, which raise your hand if you have moon in Libra. All of us going to have our lunar returns with this month. It's going to be a little spicy. That square is going to be intense. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some boom action. Does that mean there's going to be WAR? No, it doesn't mean there's going to be WAR. There may be more attempts to push it. We're seeing a lot of back and forth. Today was a crunchy day. I'm sorry. It's going to be crunchy over the weekend too. And so I expect some infrastructure problems. Your Venus is in Capricorn, honey. You've probably already had your Venus return. It's not negative for you. Don't always assume everything is negative. Don't always assume that. Okay? Yeah. Right? Yep. It's going to be your 4th house, Casey. I'm sorry. Damn 4th house transits. But, yeah. Sun and rising in Libra. There you go. Oh, sorry, honey. Yeah. Yeah, well, Venus returns happen every 18 months, 19 months, it depends, and or 12 to 19 months, it depends on the retrogrades. And sometimes they're great, sometimes they're, not as fun. It just depends on what's going on. Oh, thank you so much. And so everybody is different. Everybody experiences the energy different. So the way I like to describe transits is go to an airport sometime to people watch, okay? You'll notice some people are having the best day of their life. Some people are having the worst day of their life. Some people are having a neutral day. It's all the same transits. So why would that be? Because everybody has their own natal chart. And then everybody expresses that energy in their own unique way. Consciousness is expressed in a myriad of ways. So even when things are crunchy, I try to take advantage of the energy. So sometimes if it's really, really heavy, I lay down. I don't nap often. If I do nap, it's really something. But I'll take a minute. I'll get quiet. I know trying to push forward when things are heavy is the wrong thing for me to do. Okay. So I just get quiet. I get still. And then the minute I feel that energy lift just a little bit, then I take action on whatever direction I need to take. This is something really, really important. We are having to change how we do everything. The CDC saying, well, we all need a little break from masks right now is stupid. Okay? We have the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in April. This is an expansion of the unseen. What are viruses? Unseen. Viruses are also ruled by Pisces. Having Jupiter and Neptune conjunct in Pisces for the first time in 165 years. Well, that's significant. It's a once in a lifetime transit, and we are going to see an expansion. Wear your masks. Wear your masks. I am getting ready to write a very stern letter to the CDC on their mishandling of the messaging to the population. I'm not writing it as an astrologer. I'm writing it as a communications specialist. It's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing. Make sure you wear your masks. Okay. Make sure you wear your mask. I don't care what mandates, not mandates. Just do it because it is important. So what we're seeing, and the reason I say that before April is because we have Mars getting ready to conjunct, and it's always on the approach of the conjunction. So as it gets tighter and tighter and closer, we see more volatility happening. That's infrastructure, that's systems. We may see more building collapses. We might see roadways not working. We could see any kind of a system that isn't serving just kind of not do so hot, right? And then as Venus approaches that. So we're looking at the basics. We're looking at foundations needing to be transformed. Is this entirely negative? No, it might look negative on the outside, but these things need to change. They need to morph. They need to be redone, okay? And it's been the reticence and the shyness of redoing it. Like, oh, it'll cost a lot of money. Yeah, it's going to cost a freaking lot of money if it falls apart too. So we're going to have some consequences with that because why Capricorn? There's always consequences with Capricorn. Here there comes a consequence, consequence, consequence. Yeah, consequences. A little bit of karma. And so we're collectively going to see infrastructure under strain over the next 3-4 weeks. It's just going to be a lot because we have Mars moving into the conjunction with Pluto. We have Venus moving into the conjunction. And we have a lot of older people playing by an old playbook that isn't going to work. When we look at our leaders, our politicians, they're just not doing a real good job. Just going to say CEOs, not just politicians, CEOs, administrators, etc. People in power. So as an average person, you need to look at the foundations of your life. You need to look at what needs to be working. If there's things you've been wanting to change, that's all something you can work on. So yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah, get your KN95s, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So this is all just reflecting. And, now the sun is in Pisces. Okay, so Jupiter's in Pisces, the sun is in Pisces, and we've got Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune's going to stay in Pisces till 2026. So as Jupiter moves towards Neptune, then we keep seeing more and more that downturn in numbers. It may just be because people aren't reporting. Okay. Be very, very, very aware of that. The numbers they've got are the numbers reported. Okay. With the sun in Pisces, this is the end of the solar cycle. Okay, so Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. We're getting ready for the solar new year at the equinox. And so, everybody's kind of tired, this is on a mundane level. This isn't you individually, but everybody is kind of like, it's a time to weave your dreams right now. If on manifestation this weekend, like starting right now, this is a great time for you to put what you want to create down in writing. Get it down in writing because Jupiter is sextiling Uranus. This is a great time to get your inspirations moving and growing and glowing. Okay. And remember that manifestations can take a while to happen. Nothing happens in an instant. You can, on occasion. But some of the best ideas take time, just like when you were gardening, right? If we plant a seed, it doesn't always just, it doesn't just germinate. It takes time for it to germinate, pop up through the soil, and then put on a second set of leaves. And then when we're really lucky, which one is this? Is this it? My poor little tomato plants. Where's my, hang on. There we are. These guys, see, I got little blooms on my tomato plant because we had some really warm weather earlier in the week. But there we go. I've been teaching gardening by the moon. But that's my happy little tomato. It's inside right now and it's cold. So we'll get it outside. But that didn't happen overnight. So, yeah. Aquarius has a lot going on. It's actually chilled out a lot. Aquarius doesn't have half of what was going on last year. Last year there was a stellium. So, we just have Mercury in Aquarius is great. And it's doing us a whole lot of favors. It's not conjunct Saturn yet. So we're doing pretty good. But it is starting to move into a square with Uranus. So, thank you so much. When you have a lot of interests, people, when you're younger, they'll be like, they're all over the place. Except when you get older, you learn how to weave them all together, and then you're a polymath. That means you're a specialist at more than one thing. And you can weave it all together into one nice, tidy package. Never be ashamed of having many, many interests, because it pays off later, let me tell you. So when we take a look, we're going to see more seismic activity really start to pick up. There was some pretty good size rumbles around the world. And remember, a lot of my forecasts, I'm not just giving for the United States, I'm giving for around the world. There is more than just one country on this planet. And they all matter. So this is important. Hi, how you doing? So on the 20th, we'll have the moon squaring off with Pluto every single month. When the moon is in Libra and it's squaring off with Pluto, there's usually some happenings, okay? There's usually some kind of boom energy. And before that moon squares off with Pluto, it's going to be squaring off with Venus and Mars. And that happens earlier in the day. Let me pull that chart up for you. See, I was prepared today. Half the time I come out of readings and I'm not prepared. So if we look at this is in the morning of the 20th. We have the moon, and this is like, I think it's 3 a.m., something like that, or 7 a.m., I think. And so it's 7 a.m. We have the moon in Libra, and it is squaring off with Mars and Venus conjunct at 19 degrees tomorrow, right? And then, of course, Pluto hasn't quite returned. It's at 27:32. In the evening, it will be at 27:33. The Pluto return is only the return to the Declaration of Independence. It is not the return to the formation of the United States. Okay, I have a whole audio on that linked up in my bio. It's really important to understand the distinction, because there's a whole lot of people thinking, it's going to collapse tomorrow. It's not going to. It's not going to on the 22nd either. Okay, that was the beginning of a process, and Pluto was not in our consciousness. Okay, I know there's a lot of astrologers saying it's a big deal, but I've been arguing with professional astrologers over this for many years. It was not in our consciousness. It was not in our consciousness until 1930. Okay, so it was so subtle, it didn't have much of an impact. Saturn and Mars were the culprits back then. So there we go. I haven't looked at Disney's chart, but I'll be glad to do that. If I were to look, I'd have to look at Disney's chart. Facebook, or Meta, I predicted they would be, taken apart like Ma Bell or litigated to death in 2023, back in 2019. I wasn't even on TikTok back then. I did that prediction to a friend of mine in a message, and I luckily found the message and screenshotted it. So yeah. Thank you, Casey. But yeah, so we've got a lot going on in the next couple of days. This is going to involve more things like infrastructures, court decisions, government offices and officials. This is going to be some big boom energy when it comes to the weather, when it comes to finance. There may be some very fascinating things happening on the 20th morning. Okay, some news breaking, and it might come out of another part of the world more likely than the United States, maybe coming out of Asia. Okay, so yeah. So financial concerns? Well, this is for the 20th day. I'm not necessarily seeing individual financial concerns. It could be more global, which of course impacts you. But in general, I've been saying for years, okay, always keep some cash on hand, and that's not because I see banks failing. I just see, things like hacking or payment gateways or systems going down because, one of the problems is you've got a bunch of boomers in leadership positions and even some Gen Xers who are completely clueless when it comes to tech. And so some really bad decisions get made because they don't understand technology. And so not everything is always as secure as it could be. Maybe they're not paying for the right security. And so that's why I always say keep a little bit of cash on hand just in case, and make sure you're growing your food. What I see is a really bad harvest this year. I've been talking about this. I talked about it in my 2022 seminar. That's also linked up in my bio. I gave a month-by-month breakdown, guys. You want to go listen to that or watch it. It's on Vimeo. You get the streaming for a year. You can refer back to it month by month by month. January and February pretty much played out exactly the way I said they would. Exactly the way I said they would. I was really hoping my accuracy wasn't going to be as good as it has been. There are times I really don't enjoy being right. You are so welcome. I really, there's a reason I'm encouraging people to just garden a little bit in your apartment or at home or on a porch. You don't have to have a huge plot of land to, have a supplement to your diet. And that's why I've been gardening by the moon with my patrons, because it's that important. There's going to be some really bad weather coming up. We're not out of the woods. We're not going to have an early spring. In fact, summer is going to take a while to come, looking at the astrology. And it's going to be very wet starting in late March, moving through April. And that's not great news for a lot of the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest. Southern California is going to have some precipitation, but it's not getting out of drought. So, yeah. Yeah, vertical gardening. Absolutely. So, yeah. Well, actually, they lifted the Mexico ban on avocados. So, that got lifted today. Should we worry? I don't even think about those programs, honey. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm never going to see it. I'm never going to get to retire. Honestly, I don't worry about those things as much. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at average people need to take more agency over their lives. Okay? Average people need to take more agency over their lives. That means, and I'm not saying I don't care about Social Security. I do. I grew up knowing I wasn't ever going to really be able to benefit from it much. So, that was just a given. Being a teenager in the 80s, you knew. They were announcing it then. None of it's new. And many administrations and Congresses have screwed us over with it. But we will see the need to collaborate, communicate, and play together. And so what I'm trying to get is people to understand how powerful you are, and there's a reason they wanted to keep people out there buying things and being out in public, because you have the cash. Stocks are worthless unless you've cashed them out. So you have the cash, you have the money in your bank accounts. And so you have the power there in where you spend your money. I'm not always for boycotts. I'm always like, go put your money where you can support someone. Take it away from people you don't support. It's kind of like a little flip of the script. Okay. But also, joining together with other people who have like hearts and starting like workers' co-ops or cooperative gardening, things like that. Those are very needed in the next 5 years. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, fellow Xer, right? Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. If you're manifesting, do you rewrite every lunation cycle or just once and let it go? In my experience, it's good to just kind of write it down and let it go. And then sometimes I'll get new ideas and I'll add to it. A lot of what I'm doing now is a manifestation of work I did over years and years and years. And as new ideas came and sometimes you can manifest things very rapidly, and sometimes they take time to mature. It depends on the incubation of it. And like a lot of what I'm doing now, I couldn't do 20 years ago because the people I'm serving were babies or in elementary school. They're grown now, and now that's a lot of who I'm serving. So, sometimes things have to cook. So that instant gratification, the just add water spirituality is a way of being self-defeated when things don't turn out. So you're always manifesting every single day. So I like to call them intentions versus manifestations, because manifest means to shape with your hands. So if you're just sitting around waiting for stuff to happen, good luck, because there's more. You come up with the desire and you tune into the frequency for that which you want to attract. But once you get clear with it, once you're aligned with it, then there's action to take, and that action might seem really weird. It might be like, all right, I'm really clear. Oh, wow. Go to the store. Okay. And while you're at the store, you're buying yummy food, and then you get another woolly hair and you follow that woolly hair, and that takes you to another shop, and then you find something that you've always wanted, and voila, you've got a manifestation, or you get the right material. Maybe you need some materials to make it happen, and that's where you find it. What's up, Mr. Malcolm? You want up? Okay. All right. This is Mr. Malcolm, if you're new and just joining. Are you helping me? Oh, thank you for the smile. Thank you for the smile. Oh, you're just so cute. Yeah. So, yeah. Right? Hey, from Buffalo. Nice to meet you. I did some readings for you. I have a lot of people from Buffalo who get a hold of me for readings. It's one of those things. I was like, I got to go look at my astrocartography for that. Yeah, the sweet boy. What? You gonna say hi? Can you show him you're smiling? Are you smiling? Yeah. But yeah, anyway, he's my guy. What was I gonna say? Oh, my brain just went blank because I have cuteness on my lap. Are we just gonna be cute for a minute together? Can we? Okay. Moon must be getting ready to change signs. What was I gonna say, Malcolm? I don't remember. Thank you. I love you too. Yes. Oh, podcast. That's what I was going to talk about. So I'm going to be using Acast, and one of the cool things about Acast on the podcast is I will be able to have transcriptions. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that. I will be able to have transcriptions of the show. I'll be working on some new stuff on the web. I'm not happy with my website. That's why there hasn't been much action on it, because the designers I had help me didn't do a good job, but I've got all kinds of good help now. Super exciting. Oh, the moon is 1 minute into Libra. Okay, that was why, because I was like, whoa, wait a minute, the energy changed. Yeah, okay. Besides being an astrologer, I'm in tune with it, so I'll feel shifts. So yeah, I'll feel the shifts of the energy. So yeah, just because when you've worked with something for 30 years, you don't just have the intellectual knowledge. If you're paying attention, you'll feel the physical as well. So yay, the moon is out of Virgo into Libra. Why am I excited about that? Because at the last degrees of it, it's on my Pluto. So it's always a little crunchy for me. Now it's in Libra, and it's going to be pretty chill for right now because it's not making any tough aspects. So it doesn't change signs in the daytime. The moon changes signs every 2.5 days. So it's in a sign about just under 48 hours. So that's why, so it changes a degree per minute. So it's, just 60 hours. Sorry. Because there's 30 minutes in just over 60 hours. So it changes signs. It'll change houses even before that. So it changed within this, it would change within this house, but it would still be in Libra when it popped into the 8th house of that chart. So, hey, hi, Emmett. So, yeah. So that's all that we've got going on. We've got, the 20th is going to be just kind of a crunch fest. Just be ready for it. Now, on an internal level, it could be a really powerful day. You could be super creative. You could get a lot done. It could be totally cool, right? Ooh, I also have to watch the time. How long have I been on? Uh-oh. I can't see. Casey, do you know when I started? And can you tell me how long I've been on? Hey, guys. It changes for everybody. You may not notice it as much because, again, I've been working as an astrologer for 3 decades. And I pay attention to how things feel as well, because I'm an observational applied astrologer. It's not just intellectual to me. It's about putting it into the practical usage. And so I'm really used to this and I can feel into it. But it will impact everybody in a different way. So, oh, thank you, Kirsten. Okay, great. So I was going to be on for 1 hour and 15 minutes. So at 8:35, let me know if I'm still on, because I have a phone call I have to be on. I have a client in Asia. So yeah. I know. Lori Rivers, global astrologer. Ta-da. But yeah, I'm very interested about what's going to happen on the 20th. I'll be writing the horoscopes tonight. I'll be doing some wed work. So yeah. If I don't mind you, what is this? If I don't mind you asking. I'm talking about the astrology of the 20th of February, because that's the actual Pluto return for the Declaration of Independence. And a lot of people are trying to make it personal to them. If you weren't born in 1776, sugars, you're okay. Has nothing to do with you. In fact, it honestly only has to do with the East Coast in all reality, because the United States, A, wasn't really formed yet, and it was 13 colonies. We really have to look at the final chart for when the last state was brought into the Union, because that would be the actual country that we are today, because we are a confederation of states. Okay, so we are a republic of many entities that join together into a single sovereign nation. And so there's semantics to this. So yeah. Oh, drink your water. 1959 was when Hawaii and Alaska were added to the United States. I believe Hawaii was after Alaska. So it would have been when Hawaii was added. Why do I expect to be happy? Because I'm going to use the snot out of this creative energy. But I know how to do it. It's going to be crunchy. I'm probably going to be crunchy. But I know what to do with the crunch. Because anytime you have crunch energy, it's an opportunity to create. Nothing is created through ease. Everything is created through friction or frustration. Like, if you look at some of the best inventions, it's because there was a problem, right? Even electricity. We have electricity. Why? People were sick of being cold in the dark. Right? So I'll be doing as I always do on Patreon, I will be writing out how, my thoughts about the energy over the next couple of days, how to work with the energy, how to surf the cosmic tide, give you some tools. Then I'll talk about the mundane transits, and then I will give the rising sign horoscopes, which give you the best possible things to meditate on to move through it. Because the more of us who grab hold of our consciousnesses and surf these tides deliberately, the more we help the rest of the collective. We're not responsible for the collective, but I like living in a better world. And if we can avoid certain worst case scenarios, then, which I believe we already have, I think we can shift a little bit over more. Yeah. Yep. Try to keep you guys out of the rabbit hole. So when we look at the 20th of when the Pluto return actually is, notice it's at 27:33. That's on the 20th, not the 22nd. Okay. I actually teach the basics. So yeah. In fact, we just finished week 6 with the How to Read Your Birth Chart class. And if you go to my Patreon, there's a public post from December 10th, 2020. Okay, you got to scroll way down on my Patreon. It's free. There's 3 videos. I'm getting you started at how to make the chart and how to identify what is in the chart. Okay, and that's your very, very, very beginning. And then I have a beginner's guide called The Ultimate Cheat Sheet linked in my bio as well. It's a 47-page document with lots of visuals that help you understand what astrology is and isn't. Because I want people to have really good information. And unfortunately, it's either very complexly explained or there's just a lot of made up stuff out there that isn't astrology. So I got fed up, and you know what you do when you fed up? That's a good use of the square energy. If you don't like what else is out there, write the book. Okay, if you don't like what else is out there, create the product. If you don't, like I used to tell my kids, if you don't like what's for dinner, you can cook it. You know, there's ingredients in the fridge. Have at it. So it's the same. When we have these frustrating moments, we have this opportunity to create. You know, astrology isn't about locking yourself in a box. It's not about saying, oh no, we're fated and doomed. Oh, I'm stuck. I'm never going to get anywhere. It's always going to be bad. I'm going to be eating worms the rest of my life. That's a shitty way to live. And we don't want to do that. There's always different layers of energy expression that can happen. And that's where you come from, an empowered space. And I will do this till my dying breath. If I can get you to see your value, then the world is going to do exceptionally better. Okay. We're just going to do so much better if you understand your value, if you stop arguing for your limitations. And I didn't start out with a perfect life. When I got to astrology, it's because my life sucked. And it sucked big time. I'd had lifelong trauma. My world was falling apart. Everything was out of my control. I couldn't hold things together. I was an overachiever and nothing was working. And psychology was just full of non-answers. And remember, this is the 90s. And so I fell down a rabbit hole, ended up with somebody going, hey, I'll teach you astrology. And I was like, great, I'll disprove it. You know, and it was so accurate that I then started doing my own research and independent research and addressing it differently. I don't like superstitious astrology. It's not good. You know, this is a field of study. And not everybody's going to be a good astrologer, just point blank. Just like not everybody's going to be a good doctor or a lawyer. You know, things happen. But yeah. Well... The future isn't even one, like fate makes it sound like there's only one possible way to go. And it's not even about that. It's choosing what on the realm of possibilities and probabilities do you want to be on. So you could have, 10 possible routes to go in the future. Okay. And then we get down to probability. Okay. So the probabilities come here and then those start to narrow. Okay. And then we have these guys. Well, you can still choose which one of these do you want to go down. Now, you might be actually over here, right? But you could reach over here. And you do that through training your Mercury, training your moon. And that's the second astro guide. That's instinct versus intuition. Our school systems deliberately teach you not to think. Okay. And you're seeing school boards all over this country make it even harder for kids to learn how to think. And to disseminate information, okay? And so you have to unlearn what we've learned in school since the 80s, okay? They were already dumbing it down when I was in high school because I was arguing. I was arguing my senior year as I was prepping for college going, I don't think a crossword puzzle is what I'll be doing in college. Could I please have a research paper so I'm ready to go? And they'd be like, oh, I don't want to have to grade it. I'm like, my professor might have 400 students and, teacher's aides and stuff, I still need to know how to do this. Small school districts. But learning how to think differently is what's going to get us ahead. Learning how to train our responsiveness. And that's a lot of what I teach. That's why the mystery school is going to be coming out in April for patrons first. And then as we make sure everything's, ironed out, there's not a whole lot of wrinkles, then we'll open it wider. But yeah. When I have a negative day, a setback of negativity, how big a setback is that to vibration work? It's actually not a setback. Negativity is actually what makes the next step better. Okay? There's nothing wrong with negativity. The avoidance of negativity slows down manifestations. Okay? That frustration, that anger, that doubt, those wah-wah moments, they show you where you want to be and what you want to have. Now, if you luxuriate in that negativity, that's the problem. Okay? That's the problem, is if we stay in it. We don't want to luxuriate in it. But once we get aware of it, so like I had a moment before I got on this live, and this live is going amazing and I'm having fun. I watched another, and I don't like to compare anything, but I saw somebody I know is not an astrologer. They're giving shitty information, bad information. But because they meet some of society's standards in a different way, they're getting listened to in a different way. And there's part of me going, I don't want to play the game. I don't want to sit up and go, oh, hi, here we go. And it was a guy, by the way, it wasn't a girl. But if I were to do the whole, I'm going to be like a socially acceptable girl and I'm going to smile and be high five all the time. Woo! Are you kidding me? That's the last thing I want to do with my life online. Okay? I'm a grown-up version of Daria. Okay? It's not going to happen. And a consequence is more people aren't going to listen to me because I'm not willing to do this. But am I here for everyone to listen to? Maybe not. Maybe I'm not here for them. So I had that moment of frustration because it reminded me of when I was in high school and I was running for student body president and I was bringing up the issues and I was nailing home the facts. And my opponent got up and went, dudes, I brought suckers for everybody, yo. Dudes, I think we should all have longer lunch breaks. And he won. And I was just like, God, it doesn't change. And I'm 52. That frustration, one thing it did, it was like, okay, well, get out of your hoodie and put on some clothes that make people see that you are metaphysical. I just do it. You're identifiable. We all have a costume, right? Put on some lipstick, sweet pea. It's been a long day. And get your charts up. That frustration. And then did I come on and go, hey, hoo, hee, we got Pluto Return, woo, woo. No, I did not. I went as far as I can without wanting to vomit. All right? Thank you. Well, I get funny when I'm angry. It's a self-defense mechanism because I have Mars and Sag in the first house. So I get highly sarcastic when I'm annoyed. And so, yeah, the only time I'm funny is when I'm pissed off. It's unbelievably hilarious. I don't know why, but it's just how I am. So you are never going to get bullshit information from me. And so if you want honest to God, real astrology, you're going to get it here. You're just not going to get the, woo, hello. And this is our romance forecast. Please. That we have bigger fish to fry. Seriously, there's a lot of shit going down over the next 10 years. And so I would rather have you, I'm not saying it isn't important to be in love, but be in love with yourself first. You know, that's what I'm here to teach. I want you to believe in you. I want you to know your power. I want you to know how very valuable you are, because you are. You're so much more valuable than the media would want you to know. Marketing, and I worked in marketing from the beginning of my career in my 20s. The whole job of the fashion industry, the makeup industry, the skincare industry is to make you feel insecure about yourself, whether you're male or female. That you're never quite right, that you're never quite good enough. The education industry, and it is an industry, they make you feel stupid and unqualified. And then everybody, to justify the thousands and thousands of dollars they've spent on their degrees, wants you to go into debt and have the degrees too, because you've all been bamboozled. I don't want you to worry about the negative facts of that. I want you to go, wait a minute, stop. We all got sold a bill of goods. What is true and right and good about me? What is valuable about me? That's what I want you to know about you. And that's what I teach. And that's what I talk about uncensored on my podcast. Because my patrons sponsor it. Because they're freaking amazing. And then, by the way, Cosmic Surfers is this Sunday. I'll get a note out tonight when I get the horoscopes out. Cosmic Surfers meets tonight. Sunday morning. And that's where we go into the more esoteric, into more the mysterious side, the energy side of working with the energies of the astrology. So, yeah. Will this be on YouTube? You want this on YouTube? I'll get it up on YouTube. I always forget to put it on YouTube. I kind of feel like it's redundant and kind of weird, but if you guys like to listen to it on YouTube, that's great, because I don't have time to edit these. So like my South Node in Virgo is a little bit like, these are not edited. These are long. Okay, you guys want it on YouTube? I'll get it up on YouTube. The other nights was really good too. I'll get that one up. That's the one where I was talking about if a deity needs you to believe in it, who has the power? Think about that for a heartbeat. If a deity, any deity, needs you to believe in them, who has the power? Just asking the question, you can come up with your own answers. I don't care what you believe. I just care that you know what you believe and why. I can't care less about what other people believe. Okay? I know what I believe, and that's what matters to me. I want you to know what you believe and why. And speaking of belief, that's what gets us through 2022. You got mind blown, right? You ever think about that? Wait, if you want me to believe in you and my belief makes you real, then who has the power? Would that be you? You have the power. Woo! Mind blowing. That's right. Oh, I love that one. Thank you. That's the thing. That's where you'll get me to go, ooh, get shinies. Venus and Gemini must have sparkles. You don't add water to me, just add sparkle. And then I'm just like, woo. So yeah, it's going to be high. It's going to be a little crunchy as we go over this week. Just especially as you notice on the 20th, we've got Pluto at the same position it was during the Declaration of Independence, which was the beginning of a process. It's the conception, not the birth. Okay. It's the conception, not the birth. We're in for a decade. Okay. It's just going to be an interesting, weird decade. So we can sit and worry about that, or we can bring into ourselves what we need to know for us. Now, when we look at Venus and Mars, they're conjunct there, okay? And they were conjunct early in the morning that day too. They've been conjunct. That's some of this heavy energy, because it's almost, if you can think, we're laying a foundation, and it's bulldozing through a foundation that has crumbled. In 2020, when we had Saturn and Pluto conjunct with Jupiter, that was blowing holes in a faulty foundation. And so it's clearing it out. We're seeing totally what doesn't work. We're just watching shit show after shit show after shit show of things, and are people fatigued? Yeah. And the media wants you tired and indecisive. They want you to feel powerless, because then the people who are energized are making the decisions. Don't be tired for too long. I know, we all get tired. We all get down. I get down too. I get tired too. But we can't stay there. Remember, I said earlier in this live stream, we can't luxuriate in the negativity. We can feel it, acknowledge it, recognize it, and use it as a springboard to take action. And take action in your own life. Look at what needs to change. The stories of what makes you secure in this life were not all true. And so it's like, okay, how do I build that security in my life? Right? Oh, thank you, Kirsten. No, 7:15, 7:35. 8:35. Thank you. Oh my God, I love you. My moderator, Kirsten, is my best friend. Thank you. Yeah, 8:35. Yeah, p.m. Rita, Rita, Rita. Rita, Rita, Rita. So, it's a wild time to be alive. And we all came here for this. You know what I mean? We all came here to be part of this, and each one of us plays an important role. Everybody, years ago, it was like 2016, I got to see the amazing Dr. Cornel West speak. And he is just amazing to be in the same room with. Talk about energy. And there were all these young college people, because it was a college event, but it was free to the public. So I went because he's been one of my heroes since I was a teenager myself. And again, this was 2016, so I was not a teenager. And I went with my daughter, and there were all these young people getting up asking how they could make their big difference. And they all wanted to be the next leader and make a change. Not one of them asked how to contribute with other. They all wanted to stand up and be the chosen one. They all wanted to stand up and be the change themselves, not realizing that being the change yourself is unpacking shit on the inside, and that the biggest changes we're going to make going forward are collective. We have to learn how to communicate, collaborate, and play. We need to reduce the ego and it's extraordinary what can get done when people aren't fighting over who gets the credit, right? Right? Yeah, right. And so it's learning how to communicate, collaborate, and play that moves us forward in the Pluto and Aquarius era. We've got to practice it before it gets here, because Pluto dips into Aquarius next year and we get a preview. So between now and then, we have to look at the structures of our own communication, our own lives, our own incomes, our own businesses, our own work lives, our own family structures, and say, what really needs to change to give us a strong, adaptable foundation? Because we need to be highly adaptable over the next 20 some years. So yeah. Excited for the moon and Libra horoscopes? Absolutely. If one of the mods would put save 20% in the code, so it's case sensitive, that'd be great. If you want a reading, thank you, Casey. So yeah, we have to learn how to communicate, collaborate, and play. And communicate with self is the first step. It's really not. Everybody learns these active listening skills. We're like, yeah, I heard you. And if I heard you correctly and I'm rephrasing. And inside, the wheels are turning. And they're like, when do I get to say my thing? When do I get to say my thing? When do I get to be right? When do I get to do it? Instead of, let's just take a minute and listen. And receive the information, and then say, did you need to share that and just have me be your witness? And would you like some input? Okay. What kind of input would you like? What kind of recommendations would you like? Yeah. And so learning that communication style, that's going to be part of the mystery school. Because it's a process I designed that I can get my doctorate in. But you know what? I'd much rather teach it and have it out in the world than go get a freaking doctorate to try to influence a system that will not want it and will not want that kind of change. Because you know why? It empowers you. So, look at that. We got all kinds of people here. Yeah. Do you think this will be like the Great Depression era changes? Honey, we've been in the Great Depression. We have been in the Great Depression for a decade. Look at houselessness. It's worse than it was in the Great Depression. It's just not in black and white. We have been living in those conditions, unchanged, unmitigated, and are also paying for water from Nestle. No, it's not going to be like the Great Depression. We're already there and have been there. Yeah. So we need to do what we didn't do in the 30s, which is form cooperatives. Okay, so a lot of times people look at land co-ops or cooperative shops. But there's all kinds of ways we can do worker co-ops and share resources, mitigate. We have to mitigate against climate change. We have to mitigate against public health issues. Wear your masks. Just wear your masks. We have to learn to think about that freedom. Our freedom is dependent on the freedom of others, which is why you consider other people's health. It's why you consider other people having clean water and resources, because your well-being is dependent on the well-being of others. That is the 6th house in a nutshell. Did I say something to make it go? Perhaps I struck a nerve. Oh, that's funny. Whoa, Cancer. But yeah, I'll just cancel the thingy. But yeah, so it's important for us to communicate, collaborate, and play. And the first person you learn to communicate differently with is yourself. If you're not being kind to yourself, if you're not speaking kindly to yourself, if you're not thinking kind thoughts about yourself, you're doing the job and aiding and abetting the oppressor. You know. There's so much more you can do when you love yourself. And love is a freaking loaded word. You know, how many of us had smoke and mirrors? People would say, it's for your own good. Alice Miller has a book on that. And let me tell you, don't read it if you're depressed, because you come out more depressed. Trust me. Been there, done that. It's called For Your Own Good. You know, I'm doing this because I love you. Love is acceptance. Love is acceptance. If you can accept yourself, if you can acknowledge, yeah, I feel like shit right now. I don't feel good right now. I feel tired. I feel like I'm wasting my time. I can acknowledge that and say, wait a minute, but is this helping me get to where I need to go? And if the answer isn't yes, then it can be like, okay, what can I do for me that's kind? What can I do for me that's gentle? What can I do for myself that nurtures me? Okay? Because if you're beating yourself up going, loser, 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 I don't like me. Wow, man, I just did it again. I'm always screwing up. I always open my big mouth. What was I thinking? You are doing the job of the person who hurt you. You are doing the job of the people who do not want you to thrive. You're giving them the power, even inadvertently. And you'll say, Lori, it's hard. I know it's hard. I know. That's why I create group experiences to help support people through it, because it is hard to make those changes. I white-knuckled it as a young person. I white-knuckled it through my 40s until I could get the right support. I studied so many healing modalities, so many. Spiritual, energy. You know, I was Reiki certified in 1999. It ain't nothing new, you know? Tons and tons of processes. If all you can do is get a level 1 Reiki certificate and give yourself Reiki, you know, that is a gift. That's love. Treating yourself with kindness. Being gentle with your words to you. There's a gentle parenting movement, right? Parent yourself that way, even if you don't have kids, right? Because that's true power. Because as you nurture yourself and you love yourself and you build yourself up, you're really hard to control. You don't even need to fight back. You just look at people and go, I don't buy into it. You know, if they're like, well, you need this thing to make you be popular. And you feel like, I don't care. I don't need it. I like me the way I am. I'm okay with me. That's sometimes why I do my TikToks with no makeup on and a hoodie. Because I'm comfy in my hoodies. I also like my rich velour. Zap Brannigan joke for the Futurama fans. Right? I don't see why you couldn't learn Reiki online. Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't learn Reiki online. It's energy. You know, it's as soon as you guys figure out that we're not separate. You and I are not separate. We do not need to be in the same room to share energy. At all. Some of the best friends I've ever made, I met online, and I never met them in physical. The person who was my first astrology teacher, I have never met in person. And I have known them since 1995. And they helped save my life. They helped me escape a domestic violence situation in my first marriage. And I've never met them. And I probably won't. Right? Energy is, right? Now, Reiki's just the start. It's just the beginning. Yeah. Yep, it's all energy. Our connection is all energy, right? And it's a privilege to be able to share that time with you. It's a privilege to share the universal energy that happens. When we're talking about the astrological transits and the different layers of energetical expression. And the more dense it moves into the physical form, the more it can look kind of nuts. You know, that's where we see crazy weather and crazy political acts and the collective acting like fools. Because collectively, we're not always very bright. Individually, we have massive amounts of potential. And each time you grow and heal as an individual, it helps shift the collective just a teensy bit. And that teensy bit makes all the difference. I used to have a spiritual mentor who taught me a great deal about healing modalities. And he used to say, Lori, whenever you heal, you're moving 100,000 people with you. And that's not the reason to do it, but it's a good thing to know when you're in the middle of the gritty process. And there were times I'd want to give up. But knowing that every time I took a little teensy step, 100,000 people came with me, it worked with my codependent nature at the time. You know? And just imagine if each one of us makes just a tiny little healing, and we pull 100,000 people with us, how cool is that? Now it's just a metaphorical number, but just imagine, if you would, every time you love yourself just that much, you help a lot of people do the same. Just that much. And when I get to read young people's charts now and hear their experiences and their healing and where they've gotten to, that didn't take them 25 years because there's more resources now and neuroscience is actually so far ahead of where it was. It didn't even hardly exist when I was a young person. To know that they can get to 0 clinical markers by 25 and then just build their lives from there. Holy crap. It made every excruciating step worth it to hear those stories. Because every time I did heal, there'd be like new scientific evidence. It was kind of weird. Talk about manifest. Like every time I made a jump, neuroscience made a jump. I don't know if I'm influencing that or if it's a coincidence, but I'll take it either way. We don't always have to have the answers, right? And the most subversive thing you can do, is accept yourself. Warts and all. We didn't come here to be perfect. We came here for a range of experiences. That is the Malcolm. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Oh, I love having you here. When you heal yourself, you help your kids heal. Absolutely. 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 I was talking to a parent today about that. Absolutely. When you heal, you teach your children that healing is possible. We are never stuck. Never. It can be hard to heal, It can be gritty. We can need support to do it, but it's possible. And I know it's possible. I've lived it. I don't know all of this stuff for no reason. I had to learn it for me. And then, of course, I like to teach. So I teach. So, all right, guys, I need to go make a phone call because I've got a client in Asia tonight. But much love to you. And I look forward to seeing you in readings and on Patreon. And if you can't be a patron, make sure you do go to the link in my bio for Patreon to listen to the latest episode of the podcast. Much love. Bye.